everyone, today I'm making outrageous brownies and I'm actually trying a new recipe. That is what they're called, by Ina from Food Network. I'll put the link in the description box. I want to try it because apparently it's really good according to the hundreds of reviews. So I'm going to try it, let you know what I think, and then maybe you guys could try it too. So I have my iPad here. I'm just going to follow along because I have never made this before. And let's get started with the ingredients. Oh, by the way, I know it looks like a lot of ingredients, but that's because I'm not making a batch. I'm making two. So yeah, let's get started. This is unsalted butter, room temperature. Doesn't really need to be because we're gonna melt it. Look at this. Is this not a ton of chocolate? Yep, it's a ton of chocolate. It's a combination of bittersweet and dark chocolate. I have some cocoa powder, some espresso powder, eggs, room temperature. This right here is cornstarch and some salt, some vanilla, sugar, and flour. That's pretty much it. That's all we're gonna need. I say that as if we're not using a ton of chocolate. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible and you'll follow along with me. So the first thing it says is preheat the oven to 350. Let me do that. Okay, oven preheating. Second thing it says is butter and flour a 12 by 18 1-inch baking sheet. I am actually doing this for a bake sale, so I'm gonna use like individual cupcake tins so that it'll be for individual servings. So that's aside. Melt together the butter, 1 pound of chocolate chips. Like I said, I'm doing a double batch. And the unsweetened chocolate in a medium bowl, simmering over water. What I'm gonna do is actually I'm just gonna microwave this and then put in the chocolate and melt it, and hopefully it'll melt. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm just gonna do it right now. So I just put it in for about a minute, and then once it melts a little bit, I'll put the chocolate in and I'll stir it occasionally just to make sure it doesn't melt. I mean, that it does melt and it doesn't burn. So I'll be right back. Okay, so my butter was room temperature. This is kind of what it looks like. You see there's a giant chunk in there. So it's warm right now. What I'm gonna do is, here's my chocolate. I have all kinds of different bits and pieces. I have some giant bittersweet, some regular bittersweet. This is dark chocolate. I only had Ghirardelli on hand and some dark chocolate chips. So I'm going to dump that in. Hopefully I didn't leave the chunks too big. Okay, I know you guys are like, that's a ton of chocolate, but that's not my recipe. Plus this is a Fudgey brownie bar according to the reviews. So I'm just going to just kind of give it a mix. Oh god, that's a lot of butter and chocolate. And I'm gonna set this back in probably for another 1 to 2 minutes and mix it halfway through. This is 1 minute in. Let's see where we're at. So chocolate's kind of starting to melt, but not really. I just want to scrape it from the sides of the bowl because I don't want this to burn. It would be a really big waste. So give it a stir. And another probably minute to 30 seconds it looks like. Okay, I just put it in for another 30 seconds just because I'm very concerned if, you know, this might burn because it's just so much chocolate. I know there's a lot of butter, but you never know. So I'm gonna kind of let this sit, and I'm hoping that the heat from the butter and the bowl will melt kind of whatever we have right here, which it looks like that's already happening. So let's move on to the next step. Let me just gonna move this out of the way. So next step, it says allow the chocolate to cool slightly. In the large bowl, stir together the eggs, coffee granules, vanilla, and sugar. So this would be a large bowl. It says stir, so we'll just stir this in. Okay, so eggs, coffee granules. This is actually espresso, fine espresso powder. How much are we looking at? Ooh, that's a lot. So okay, so I'm assuming, I don't know, this is kind of too much for me, so I'm going to half it. Okay, I'm not even halving, I'm less than halving the amount of coffee powder in there. I don't want these brownies to taste at all like coffee. Usually espresso powder or coffee is used to enhance the flavor of chocolate, and I'm really not trusting the amount that it is. I'm pretty sure it's fine, but I don't want it to taste like coffee and I don't want to risk it. So that's the espresso powder. Vanilla, how much vanilla are we using? 2 tablespoons. So 1, 2, and let's say this is the half for the set because I'm making the double batch. Okay, whatever. Never could be more than enough vanilla. So the vanilla and the sugar. This is my sugar. Oh, that is a lot of sugar. Okay, first let me kind of combine this. I really want to add some cocoa powder. So I'm adding the cocoa powder. Like I said, you could leave that out. I'm using Dutch process. I just want a really chocolatey, really fudgy brownie. So give that a quick mix. Okay, I really don't know why this says stir, but I'm gonna definitely grab a whisk. I don't like how it's coming together. Okay, and now we're just gonna add the sugar. Okay, now it says after all those ingredients are combined, stir in the warm chocolate mixture into the egg and allow to cool completely to room temperature. Okay, so here is our chocolate mixture. Let's see what that looks like. Let me give this a good stir. Okay, so as you could see, it's just melted chocolate now. Well, it looks like the consistency of really watery melted chocolate. And I'm just going to mix this as it instructs. Oh, this is really heavy. Can you guys see that? Okay. So I'm just going to mix this into my egg mixture that we just made. Just getting all the chocolate butter out of the chocolate butter. Okay. Okay, mix this really well and leave it to room temperature. Let's see what you have to do after that. Okay, so in another bowl, we're supposed to mix together the rest of the dry ingredients. So this already cooled for a bit, so we shouldn't waste too much time on that. I'll be right back and let me set this aside. I just want to make sure it's all incorporated before I do that. Look at that. Let me bring you guys in. I know, look at it, it's so shiny. Okay, so apparently you're supposed to have the shiny mixture. I'm gonna set this aside and clean up and I'll be right back, okay? Okay, so my chocolate mixture is pretty much cooled, so I'm gonna get started on my flour mixture, baking powder, and the salt. So I have this measured out already. So I'm gonna need about 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, in here I have mini chocolate chips and some chopped walnuts. The reason it's in a Ziploc bag is because what you want to do, if I could open this, okay, what you want to do is grab the rest of your mixture, the rest of the flour, and dump about 1/4 of it in the chocolate chips and walnuts. You know, if you are adding those things, you could skip out if you don't want them. And you just want to coat them with the flour because this will prevent all of them sinking to the bottom as you bake it and just having a bunch of chocolate chips on the bottom of your brownies. That's a really good tip for anything from muffins to brownies to cakes. So coat them really well with flour just like that. And I'm going to set this aside and let me go grab my chocolate mixture. Okay, so here is my chocolate mixture. And we're going to add this flour mixture. Actually, we're going to add the wet to the dry. Unfortunately, my bowl's a little small, so we're going to try to work around that. Minor technicality. But my flour is whisked. No clumps or anything. I'm going to set that aside. And we're going to go ahead and add the chocolate to the flour. So, actually, let's see what it says. It says, in a medium bowl, sift the flour, baking powder, salt, add the cooled chocolate mixture, toss the walnuts and 12 ounces of chocolate chip. Okay, so you don't even need a hand mixer for this. So just add this in. What I'm gonna do is add half first. Okay, here's my mixture of flour and chocolate. I moved it to the larger bowl because the small one was just not cutting it for me. Now, once it's all incorporated like I have here, do you see that? Yum! I know this is a ton, but like I said, it's not for the house, it's for school. You're just going to dump the rest of that flour, the walnuts, and mini chocolate chips, or regular chocolate chips, up to you. And you're just going to mix until you combine it, okay? So that's what we're doing here. It's not going to be a ton of walnuts or chocolate chips in every single brownie, but it'll be some texture, and that's what I'm looking for, but you could add as much as you like. Can you guys tell there's a pattern of how much I love chocolate? Don't worry, there's different things coming up. I was just making this, so I figured why not record it? Okay, this is incorporated, and let me get my cupcake tins. Okay, so what you're gonna need to do is either spray this like I have here, or you're going to butter them individually and flour them. You don't want your brownies to stick because it's a little bit more difficult to get them out of individual servings than it is, let's say, you know, just cutting it out of a 13×9 pan. So I'm using a large cookie or ice cream scoop. Actually, this looks like way too much. I don't know. Is that too much? That looks like way too much for one person. Okay, I'm gonna grab the smaller one. This is the 1 ounce one. Let me see if 2 of these will be good for... So 1, 2. Yeah. So I'm gonna use this 1 ounce scoop, and I'm gonna put 2 in each one. Okay, so I'm done with the brownies. You want to tap it because you just want to make sure all the air comes out. Also that they're all even. This helps you kind of evaluate that. I'm going to bake this for, it says bake for 20 minutes and then tap it like this to make sure that the air escapes from under the brownies and the baking pan, and then bake for about 15 minutes. Total bake time is 35 minutes. So that's what the instructions are. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see how that turns out. And I have a ton more, as you could see. I'm gonna make several of these. I'm gonna get started on the other one because I have other ones on the bottom. But we're gonna put this in the oven right now. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna put my cookie sheet on top, my cooling sheet on top, and then I'm going to tap it. Some of them already came out. Okay, and they come out that easy. So this is what they look like. They're not completely cooled. They're slightly warm. And I'm just gonna let this cool completely. This is my tin. I'm just gonna let this cool, and then we'll transfer it out. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just cutting parchment paper because I don't want these brownies to stick to each other. So I'm just gonna do this, and then I'm gonna layer it. So this is gonna have, let's see, 12, 1, 2, 3. This is gonna have 36. Oh, that was still warm. 36 brownies. Okay, so these are our brownies. So this is pretty much how I will be taking them, in this cute little tin. That's actually my the big brownie I'm doing. the 13 by 9. But I'm going to let these continue cooling a little bit because they are still slightly warm. So that's gonna be that. I know there's crumbs everywhere. So let me take you so you can see the brownies. Okay, so here's the 13 by 9. This is done. And that is what they look like. Check it out, check it out. Whoa, this is pretty much what the inside looks like. And you can see it's really fudgy. My overall opinion is they're chocolatey, they're fudgy. I see that they would go really good with pecans or walnuts. Yeah, I give it an A. I see what the big deal's about. It's really good. It's chewy, fudgy, kind of everything you'd expect from a brownie texture and flavor-wise. So go ahead, try it. The ingredients, instructions, recipe, everything will be in the link. And let me know what you think. Thank you for checking us out. And I guess that's it. See you soon.